Welcome back to Cutting Stems, the Bachelorette after show. Once again, it's ladies' night because Trent is very busy with golf things, I guess. And I know we downplay everything Trent does with the golf stuff. And normally it deserves it. But, you know, this week they had a very big production. Barstool did a whole tournament announcing the whole thing. So, you know what? I'll give it to them because they crushed it. They did a great job. Trent had to sweat his ass off for 4 days straight. Yeah. So I'll let this one. I think we can let this one slide. But there's only so many episodes left. And I feel like he's done 2 cutting stems.
Agreed. We're all proud of him. We're proud of Trent. We're proud of his hard work. We're proud of him having to expose his own heart rate on TV in front of everybody watching. That sucks. But yeah, you know, TikTok.
Yeah. I think this is just what we expect from him, and that's okay. He's a busy guy and he has work to do.
I know. It's just like how many weeks, you know, he had his big moment. It's been forgotten because he hasn't even gotten to talk about it, you know?
Ladies, it doesn't matter. We have more important things to talk about. I'm kind of fired up about this episode, and I'm very upset as well.
Ooh. I will say we're definitely down to the point where I think all 3 of us can confidently say we don't know what direction Charity is going to go with here. I don't think any of us have seen any spoilers. So we're not feeling like we know really too much. And she's got a bunch of great guys left. So it was hometowns. She went to everybody's hometown, met everybody's family. Honestly, they all went pretty well, but we can go through them one by one, give the thoughts on all of them. So Aaron had the first hometown. I believe they were in Houston.
Yes.
Yep.
And his mom just was cooking up a storm, made all this food for them, the family. They just seemed like a lovely family that just was very accepting of Charity, and they really made it seem like Aaron was ready for this part of his life.
They were such great people. Like, I couldn't love them more. I was like, this is it. Charity is in with this family. They are so loving. They are so accepting. They are understanding of the process, cautious, but understanding. They love Christmas. They want Charity to come for Christmas and have a great time. Just a nice family, just a beautiful family. I loved them so much. I was like, that's it. Charity's got to go with Aaron.
I couldn't agree more. I thought that the feeling, it was so much like she was already a part of the family. They were so welcoming. They were so sweet. Everything was pretty seamless, especially considering that Aaron is the one that she, I guess, has had the least amount of time with, or hasn't been able to really sit and make this connection with. It seemed so perfect, everything about it. And I'm pretty sure at the end of it, she said, can't wait to come back. So, you know, I heard that and I went, okay, she wouldn't be saying that. But, you know, our girl, she can't pitch a perfect game every time. She'll make mistakes. But Aaron was, yeah.
And I
a delightful family. Really just nice. Delightful, top to bottom.
Amazing. Yep.
I do think Charity dropped a couple hints that made me a little nervous about it, just because she's like, Aaron and I haven't had as much time as everybody else. So there were certain things I was like, ooh, is she gonna kind of be like, maybe she hasn't just spent enough time with him? But he did tell her he was falling in love with her. And obviously that was a very big thing. And she seemed very, very happy about it. But I sometimes first hometown, did it go when you go first, you just recency bias. It's just, you're like, oh, is that the easiest one to cut because it was the first one? And of course I know sometimes maybe that wasn't actually the first one. But that's the order in which we saw it. And she did allude to Aaron when she was with Joey, before Joey. So I don't know what order they decided to do it in, but that went so well. Joey's hometown in Pennsylvania also seemed great. They played tennis. Family seemed super sweet. I would say the big block here, the big question mark was Uncle Joey. Uncle Joe. Uncle Joe seemed maybe a tad too involved in Joey's life. I get it. It's your uncle, but this isn't your dad. Was just chilling, and was totally fine. But Uncle Joe had a lot to say.
I was just not a fan of Uncle Joe at all. Uncle Joe was giving me weird vibes that he was like way too involved about Joey and like way too protective of like, of course your family members are going to be protective of you in the right way where they don't want you to get hurt, just like any other family member wouldn't want. But like Uncle Joe was giving me weird vibes and I didn't like him at all. Like I was like, who does this guy think he is? Kind of, you know, you know your nephew, but to this extent, do you know your nephew that well?
I was confused a little bit because usually when there's an uncle that comes in and it's like, that's my fucking man, Uncle Joe, like that's him, like whatever. Usually that means that there wasn't like a father figure in your life and maybe he's taken over and it's like, wow, I really look up to him. Like he raised me basically. Like there's always some kind of story like that. So I expected like Joey's father to be MIA. But then when his dad shows up, it's like, all right, well, so Uncle Joe is just way too involved here. And I don't know if maybe he's just like a guy that wants to be on TV. It's like maybe he's this loud and I'm the family member who's going to bring the noise. Like, okay, in that case, fine. Yes, you did just that. But I don't think that Joey needs to be thinking about what Uncle Joe is saying to run his life. I think that he can run his own life.
Yeah, Uncle Joe is like the uncle who thinks they know you better than your parents.
Yes, exactly.
We're like, where's the Joey I know? And it's like the Joey you know left 10 years ago, Uncle Joe. How about that? I'm a grown man.
Like, still treats him like a little kid or something. Like, I don't know. He spoke highly of his uncle, obviously. So clear, there's something with the connection there, but maybe they didn't say it enough or like explain it enough because it felt. I mean,
obviously it's his namesake.
That's what I'm saying. So like, where is the, you know, does he, I don't know. What's the connection? Why are we so obsessed with Uncle Joe? Why are we doing everything that we can to make sure that this, you know, goes the way Uncle Joe says? Like, where's our brains when Uncle Joe?
Uncle Joe is like the uncle who expects Joey to grow up and be just like him.
Yeah,
he's
for
like,
sure.
I'm Joe. He's Joe. We're both gonna grow up and be Joe.
Both play tennis.
Yeah, like I just was not feeling him at all. And it made me feel kind of bad for Joey because I do think Charity really likes Joey a lot. Like I just get this feeling that she almost likes Joey the most. For sure. And I think that threw her off a lot. Because obviously when you hear someone be like, is Joey being himself? And you're like, well, I thought he was, but since you brought it up, Uncle Joe, I'm not quite sure now.
I agree completely with that being especially in the way of like Charity likes him the most. Charity, I think, talks about him the most, is ready to say I love you to him the most. After this like family date situation, Joey's at the bottom of my list. Like I don't want Joey in there anymore at all. I don't know if I trust him. His family made me not trust him. Like there's something it made my number one and now he's not.
It made me really worried about, because like, I don't know, there's something you have to worry about it when your family, like, I don't know, maybe Joey went through some breakups or like Joey's the kind of guy that kind of loses himself in a relationship. And because it kind of felt like that was sort of the fear that Uncle Joe was having too. Like he kind of like, is he being the guy that Charity wants, or is he being himself, like kind of conforming to somebody else? So that like kind of made me a little worried, and obviously made Charity worried. The end of their date was kind of awkward, and Charity blatantly said, she was like, I'm ready to tell Joey that I'm falling in love with him. And I think she probably would have done it at the end of that hometown if it went better, but that definitely planted some doubt in her head about what his intentions are. And like now it's like even if Joey is saying all the right things and it feels genuine, she's gonna have fucking Uncle Joe's voice in the back of her head being like, well, shit, if his own family is saying this, questioning him, like I shouldn't question him.
That's not my Joey.
Like, like what the fuck? It makes sense. Was he like engaged or something before? Like, did we hear anything about his dating?
I don't think so.
It's weird. Even the conversation with his mother, who I felt I think I wrote down that she's very weepy. She's like a weepy mom, you know? My mom would be the same as like
maybe that's why he ran away to Hawaii. Like, you know,
no, honestly, like, maybe that could be right.
I would like to know like how he ended up in Hawaii. Maybe he had a bad breakup. He fucking ran away to Hawaii.
Yeah, could have.
That's true.
Exactly. something weird could have gone down, like whatever. His mom's very weepy. I'm seeing kind of a dramatic family. So I'm wondering, and this is, again, maybe I'm projecting my own life. I know that like however dramatic my family is not it's not directly reflective of how I actually am. Maybe a little bit on the surface, like whatever. But I'm wondering now are we like judging Joey because of his family, and his family just like wasn't a great family, especially right after Aaron's, which Aaron's family was so good. And then we see Joey's family who's like mixing, trying to like shake shit up. And I just didn't like it at all. And he's on the bottom of my list, like I said, but I'm worried about him moving forward. I can't tell if we should be worried about him or he just has a dramatic family.
I agree, Kelly. I think it was the back-to-back because Aaron's family was so great. Like I was so high on Aaron's family that I was ready to shit on the next family, no matter who they were. Like it could have been anybody and I would have been like, they're no Aaron's family. But I do think you bring up an interesting point. I don't think you can automatically judge Joey off of his family because there are so many examples of people just like, that's life. You're not exactly like your family members.
Yeah.
I will say, like, even his mom, I don't know if the conversation cut or what happened, but he was like explaining the conversation he had with Charity about being an interracial couple. And his mom was just like, but how could she not love you? And it was like, this, like, she just immediately jumped to like you said, weepy, like very, so I do wonder if Joey got very hurt in the past. And that's kind of what we're seeing here. But yeah, anything following up Aaron's family, it just wasn't going to be it.
I know. I do kind of think too, like, I wonder if the family took a vote before and it was like, hey, one of us has got to bring up that this is crazy, that we're like on the Bachelorette. And he's like, and maybe like his parents were like, hey, we don't want that heat. Like, we don't want to be that parent that's like it's a show. Like there's maybe Uncle Joe was like, I'll do it. I volunteer. Right. I will be the bad guy in this scenario because somebody had to do it. And obviously Uncle Joe felt comfortable enough doing it. So Charity definitely left that date, I think, feeling like a little iffy. Honestly, after that, I was like, ooh, this could be the end for Joey. I didn't know really if their connection would be strong enough to keep it going. I mean, it was, but I was definitely questioning that. And then she went to Cincinnati, right?
I was honestly losing track of the places we were in, but I know it's Xavier.
Yeah, I keep forgetting too. Adorable. Xavier really just, can't do anything wrong. Truly, it seems at this point. They went to a freaking yarn class. They were knitting. Like he went home. His really family was so sweet. They were so excited. Xavier's mom was so sweet. It was another one that just, they knocked it out of the park also. It was a really good hometown date.
Yeah, I agree. The yarn was really sweet.
Yeah. I think that was nice in the way too, that he was with that little group and that group was all very like, yeah, this helped me get through XYZ. It keeps my hands busy. It's like showing their emotions and stuff. I was like, this is a really genuine, sweet thing. And like, I wouldn't have expected that out of any of the guys. Like that's just not something you expect out of somebody. Like, hey, listen, I'm going to bring you to a knitting class. It might be a little weird, but I promise it's like therapeutic. It's like a sweet thing. You all kind of come together. And I loved that. And I think that is a great reflection on Xavier and who he is as a person. I think that just means he's like in touch with his emotions and, whatever. And I love him for that. Other than that, I would say his family was fine. Again, not Aaron's family though. Like I kept putting it up against Aaron's family and like they were fine, but everything else was kind of boring. Like if I didn't get like a overly crazy spark, I didn't feel like any drama. I didn't feel anything. It was just kind of like, all right, we're here. This is family. They're nice. Moving on. Like the knitting thing really stood out, but everything else kind of like.
Yeah, it does seem like, Xavier does seem like a guy that has his shit together, right? And that's kind of been his MO this whole time. It was very sweet to hear him talk with his mom. His mom has MS and like how that has affected him like in the field that he has gone into, and his mom talking about how he said that he's ready for kids and he wants to be a dad. And like, I just feel like Charity is hearing all the right things from him. They have been like that. Like, it's just been a very steady incline. Like there's been no bumps. There's been no like too high, too low. It's just been like so steady. So I don't know if like eventually they'll hit something, but right now, like I feel like with Aaron, it kind of plateaued, which was the issue. Dotun has kind of gone like up really, really fast. Same with Joey. But Xavier's just riding that cool wave straight into the top three, which has been good. It was definitely a good hometown date. And then Dotun's hometown date was also great. You knew they were setting up, right? Like after Dotun said, "Oh, my parents, they're in Nigeria. They go on this trip." After then it cut to Charity, when Charity was like, it really is sad that they couldn't be here. I'm meeting everybody else's parents. Like in my mind, I was like, oh no, they're going to be so much. This is going to bury Dotun because she's not going to meet the parents. And then I was like, oh, they're bringing that. They talked about it way too much. I'm like, they're bringing out these parents.
Oh yeah, these parents are showing up for sure. Yes,
100%. So cute. His mom was so adorable. Yes. I loved that, like, just like Aaron's family, they were accepting of the process, even how crazy it is. Like, they were like, we understand. Once again, don't want him to get hurt, but like they love Charity. I do enjoy how much it seems like every family really loves Charity. And I think that she like really represents herself really well in all of these situations. But they were so cute. And like his dad, when they asked, like, you think he's ready? And they were all like, yeah, I think he is ready. I think that's really sweet. I think because Uncle Joe was like, I think he's going to be a great husband and dad one day, but no, I don't think he's ready.
Yeah.
And maybe that's honest. Maybe he really doesn't think he's ready. But I think it's nice to have that confidence in your son or your nephew to be like, yeah, I do think they would be great. And I think they are ready for that.
I think you're 100% spot on. One of the parts that stood out to me most, I'm not sure who it was that said this. It might've been like a brother or an uncle or something, not one of his parents, not one of Dotun's parents, but they said that he was just such a loyal person and that he's never even like, he's with someone and that's who he's with. And he puts all of it in there and, whatever. And I feel like the families will usually do a good job of like hyping up their son or daughter, whatever. It depends on what kind of season it is. But I really loved how hyped they were for Dotun. Like they really like spoke so well of his character. And that it honestly made me like him more. Like I liked him already. And I thought that he and Charity have like a great connection. I think that he's so serious, but he's like a calm presence. And I feel like she really just responds well to that. And I just really think that what they said about it made him that much better. And then, of course, we have the montage of childhood photos while we're sitting on, that's like the cutest shit of all time. Like they really stacked that up to be the cutest one, which I appreciated.
Yeah. I will say, like, casting, they did a good job because it really does feel like, especially with hometowns, you get a lot of parents that seem pretty nervous that their kid is in this position, right? Like, I feel like Joey was really the only one that you could kind of feel that. And it just, I think, speaks to, and I hope I'm not fucking jinxing it with whatever one of them does next, but it just feels like those other three, their families were so aware of how ready for like an engagement and just doing this whole process. Like they were all very accepting of that, which makes me think that those guys are all very like emotionally mature enough where they're like, hey, mom, dad, family members, I'm going on the Bachelorette. Like we'll see what happens, but I really want to find a connection. It just made it all feel like much more genuine that they're all three of those guys are like really in it for Charity and for having that connection and for proposing at the end. And I felt that way from Joey too, but you felt a little bit more iffy from his family compared to the family of these other guys were just like, hey, if Charity is the one, we're happy. We're ready to go. Like, we'll love Charity. Like that was every other family was so ready for it. So I thought that was, I think that says a lot about the sons in that situation, that all the families were so confident in like them making that decision. Don's grandma, by the way, oh my gosh, she was the cutest.
What a woman. I loved her. I loved her. I loved his whole family. I would say Dotun's family, I liked second best to Aaron. It was like Aaron,
same.
Xavier, Joey,
yeah, definitely. So, I mean, sad, but when it came down to it, she did not pick Aaron to go to the top 3.
I was so upset by this.
Devastated.
I just really felt like, I don't know. Obviously, you don't know what Charity's feeling.
Mm-hmm.
I hope that she's not still chasing. I don't know how to word this, but the way that she talks about her past relationship was that it was like toxic on and off. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I hope that she isn't chasing a little bit of that, like,
right.
I don't know how to explain it.
Aaron almost Aaron almost feels like too stable.
Right. Like right. It's safe. It's stable.
She wants a little bit of a challenge, maybe.
Right. But it's loving and it's kind and it's great. And I feel like, but like I said, we don't know. But I hope she's not chasing that challenge still. And that maybe Aaron was just a little too sweet, a little too easy for her. Yeah. Maybe there's more of a spark. I mean, there's 3 other great guys there. So there very well could be more of a spark with them. I just think their family and their Christmas time sold me.
Yeah, it's hard.
I know. Dotton was honestly the only one that I was like confident in. I was like, this guy is getting a rose. The other 3, I could be. It's a toss up. I thought of who could go home. But like I said, I kind of felt like it was maybe a little bit of a recency bias, and Aaron was the only one that Charity pointed out, like, oh, I haven't had as much time. So maybe things just the feelings just hadn't progressed as much as they had with the other guys.
It makes sense. It makes sense. And I really thought, like, going into it, the 4 guys, I was like, all right, whatever happens here, Aaron's going home because she knows him the least. And that's always how it goes. But then when I saw the family interactions, I was like, oh, I think it's going to be somebody else. And then the back-to-back, Aaron being so great and Joey leaving her suddenly with all these questions, I thought she was going to make a rash choice and get rid of Joey. Like, I thought for sure that was what was going to happen.
And look,
sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say it makes this top 3 a little bit riskier, because I'm not quite sure what these guys are going to be ready for. I know, like, everything with Don, we keep hearing that it's too much of a fairy tale, like too good to be true. Like, that worries me. Xavier, like, also is definitely shared that he's a little nervous about a proposal at the end of it. Not that he's not ready for the commitment, but like really like the actual proposal. And Joey seems very ready for it, but like, is he just saying it? Does he really mean it? Aaron, I think, was the only one that I 100% believed like would get down on one knee at the end and like 100% mean it and like be ready for it and not have any like side worries about it. And these other 3 guys, I think, maybe there could be a worry.
Do we think there's any possibility that Charity is not ready for an engagement? And the reason I bring that up is because I know that she didn't pick Aaron, so clearly maybe it had something to do with Aaron. Like, it's just sometimes about the person. And I think that when she was with Aaron's family and they asked her, like, are you ready to get engaged? And she was like, no, but it was about Aaron.
Yeah.
Do you think that part of her feels that way about all of them? Or do you think so. There's one that she's definite about?
I don't know if there's one that she's definite about, but I feel like she definitely wants to get engaged. And I think we've talked about that with like other bachelorettes, right? And the phenomenon of just like being the bachelorette. And I think like you get such tunnel vision and you want to do well. And I feel like when you get to this point, if you don't get an engagement, it just feels like a massive disappointment. So I feel like she definitely wants an engagement.
Yeah, I feel that way too.
Like, it's not really a disappointment in real life, but in the scheme of like the show,
Yeah.
Yeah, I get that vibe from her that she's wanting engagement. I think you're right when she was kind of wishy-washy. I think it was more that was because of the person it is. She's not trying to like get anybody's hopes up. I also think that that's weird when I feel bad for the Bachelor and Bachelorette whenever they visit the families and the families ask those things. Like, they ask, like, are you ready for an engagement? Like, if he gets on one knee tomorrow, are you going to say yes? Because it puts them in an equally difficult position. Because it's like they want to say yes, but they don't want to be like, yeah, but I'm, remember, I'm dating 3 other guys. Like, it might not be your son. So it's just, it puts them in a weird spot that I feel like you just say, yeah, I don't know. Maybe
right,
not.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely. Okay, let's cut some stems, give out some roses.
Dancing with my chorus light.
Okay,
Do
folks.
your little dance, friend.
Ooh, we're
Do
dancing with
your
our chorus
little
light.
dance, friend. Dancing with our chorus light. Dancing with our chorus light. Crack it open. Dun, dun, dun. Crack it open. Dun, dun, dun. Crack it open. Dun, dun, dun.
That was a good crack. I got a good crack.
I did too. That sounded like a commercial.
Cheers, everybody.
Sorry,
Cheers.
I took a sip before you
Me too.
before you cheers. Bad etiquette.
Refreshing.
Wow, this tastes amazing.
That's
Nice and refreshing.
Really
Look at
refreshing.
those blue mountains. I'm getting and letting a little bit of a glare, but
Yeah, me
it's
too.
just fantastic. Love Coors Light.
I don't know if mine have ever been this blue. Like, I'm not being crazy. Like, I know that we're like,
Yeah,
Yours are really, really
they're the
blue.
Yours are
bluest
crispy.
mountains
It's
I've
a
ever
crispy
seen.
blue.
I'm gonna have to take
It
a pic
tastes
on my
amazing.
phone so you guys
All
can
right.
hear me.
We're
Crazy.
gonna cut some stems, give out some roses. Who wants to go first?
Ooh, you go, girl.
I'm going to cut Uncle Joe's stem.
Snip, snip.
Uncle Joe.
I
Yeah,
didn't like his vibes.
Yeah.
I don't care that you can play tennis. So can my nono. Don't care.
No, it's like we get it, you know? Like we get it. You play
Yeah.
tennis.
You want me to break out my racket?
Even though I'm
I
pretty
can
good at
fucking
tennis.
break out a racket. I'm pretty good at tennis too.
That's what I'm saying.
Stem
Like,
was getting
don't act like you're the patron saint of tennis, Uncle Joe.
Right. Come on.
Mm-mm.
All right. Well, that's a good one. Obvious.
And then I'm going to give my rose to obviously Aaron's family. Love them.
Oh, yes.
And I am going to be following along to see what they do for Christmas. I don't know. The dad really sold me on like, she was like, I really feel in love. And he was like, just wait till Christmas time. And I was like, I want to see Christmas time. I want to see Christmas time.
He said it so many times, and he
Aaron,
was like,
show us Christmas at your house. Show us December.
right.
want to
Like
see
you
it.
tell him, just bring him for Christmas. Like that's how we know it's for real. If we bring it for
Do a
Christmas.
Christmas special on Aaron's family. ABC.
I'm sad that she won't even be there. Yeah, ABC do Christmas, like a Christmas special. Like
Have
about
Aaron's
Christmas
family
special.
host 25 Days of Christmas on ABC.
Perfect.
So yeah, that's it for me.
Okay. What do you got, Kelly?
Let's see. I'm gonna cut the stem of you know, I'm gonna cut the stem of Joey. I'm gonna cut Joey's stem because I feel like Joey didn't do enough to convince us that his family was just being his family. You know what I mean? I need a little bit more out of him. I need him to have a little more self-awareness about like the situation. There was a point where he was talking to mom and he was like, "Mom, chill." Like that was fine. But like we need more of that for Charity. She's clearly like not okay. She was crying and he was like, "Happy tears?" ? And she was like, "I don't really know." Maybe like let's have a conversation here.
I don't know
Clearly
if he
not
knew.
happy tears. Joey.
I don't know if he knew
Everyone
how bad
thinks you're
Uncle
a
Joey
fake.
was.
I don't think he knew either, but he should have known. So I'm going to cut his stem to that.
Okay.
And cut his stem. I'm going to give my rose to Dotton's family because they were lovely and they deserve shine as well. With a special little asterisks next to his grandmother because I love her as well.
Damn, she
Uncle
was so
Joe
nice.
could take
I don't
some
know who I'm
notes.
going to give mine to now.
Uncle Joe could take some notes.
Could take some notes. It's unbelievable.
Gonna need hold my Coors Light.
That guy really pissed me off. I don't know why. Sorry.
No, it's beyond. You know what he's a little bit like? And maybe it's just his name is Joe. I'm thinking like Joe Gorga. Like he's just like he's not actually like him, but he kind of in that way that like I'm too involved in your life, Joe Gorga way. Where I'm
just like step back.
Yeah, chill.
Oh, Joey wasn't putting on the performance of a lifetime on the tennis courts. Sorry, Uncle Joe.
Right, like relax. You don't have to like.
You know what it is? I assume that when Joey and Uncle Joe are playing tennis together, they're like, and like Joey wasn't giving that, and so Uncle Joe was like, "Where's my Joey that fucking grunts on the tennis courts?"
I know.
Where's my competitive Joey?
The way he said it was also so funny. He was like, I was just getting a vibe from him on the court that he just wasn't really.
It's not my usual boy on the courts.
Like
so bizarre. Okay, I'm gonna give my rose to the knitting circle.
Oh, that's a good
I thought that was very sweet.
You scared me. I thought you were cutting it. I was gonna.
No. I'm giving my rose. I don't know what I'm cutting. Honestly, I don't know what I'm cutting. I feel you guys cut the good stuff. I'm giving my rose to the knitting circle. I love that, and I'm gonna cut. You know, this is mean, but it just feels like an easy answer. because I would normally also go with Uncle Joe.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna mix it up, and I just feel like I'm just gonna go with Jesse Palmer. He's the easy out. He's the easy out. I'm sorry, Jesse, but like I don't know what it is, and I don't know if it's just because he is a good host, but that like maybe the Bachelor and the Bachelorettes feel differently in the conversation. But when you watch The Bachelor, in this case, when you watch Charity explain to him how all the dates went and how she's feeling, and he's talking to her, I just feel like he does not give a flying fuck.
No, his face is so like,
like he's just hitting his lines, he's asking the questions, but it's like, he's like, oh, and he's like, oh, we haven't even talked about Joey. Like, I don't know. It's just,
he's not as engaged as I would like him to be.
I just feel like if you brought in like an ex-Bachelorette or multiple ex-Bachelorettes and you're having that conversation, like when it was Caitlyn and Tayshia, like they could have those conversations and it felt legit. It felt like they were helping them. When Jesse has those conversations, like it's not helping anybody except filling airtime of Charity talking about it. Like the feedback Jesse gives her, I don't think is super helpful. It's just like, yeah. He's just, I'm like, okay.
Like it's like he's there to like, we know that those moments are there to fill time and get sound bites and hear their opinions on what happened in the day and whatever. But that doesn't mean that you have to like stick to the script, Jesse. Like you can like butt in and
you can improv.
Yeah, this is like kind of a
conversation, you know.
This is kind of a bad comparison. But I was watching a couple new episodes of Temptation Island.
Oh God, how's that going?
And Mark Wahlberg, the host of
phenomenal host.
He is host and therapist in one. When he sits at those bonfires, he is cracking these contestants open like an egg. Like
really,
he is analyzing them. Like they'll make comments and he'll be like, well, Josh, do you feel that way because of the trauma you talked about last week in your last relationship? And Josh is like, damn, Mark, you're so right. Like,
Mark Wahlberg is good.
Give me a little more. Give me a little more.
Get involved.
A little more compassion.
Temptation Island at all.
Oh, Temptation Island is fantastic.
Temptation Island is it's
so good.
Yeah. That sounds amazing.
Temptation Island is
my mom involved. My mom loves Mark Wahlberg. I bet she would love that, especially if he's playing therapist. She'll love that.
Well, wait, it's not actually Mark Wahlberg.
Wait. Nope. I remember that as soon as I said it. I forgot.
My friend is the joke because his name is Mark Wahlberg, but
I knew that. I knew that. I was so shocked, though. I was so shocked.
So funny every time.
Every time.
Friend, do you remember the day that I figured this out? And I was like, Mark Wahlberg is hosting this show. Immediately started watching it, and I could not stop laughing that this guy's name was Mark Wahlberg. Just couldn't stop.
Totally forgot and then immediately remembered this entire thing.
No, it's great.
Everything I said, I'm not going to tell my mom about the show. She's not going to like it.
This Mark Wahlberg is even better.
I know.
But imagine a show where Mark Wahlberg, like the actor Mark Wahlberg is.
Yeah, that'd be unbelievable. Like that's why I'm like, why are we talking about this?
Oh man, honestly, it's funny every time. That
really is.
Funny every single time.
It never gets old.
Okay, to wrap up, I want everyone to throw out their predicted winner.
Ooh.
You have to pick one.
Okay.
I'm gonna pick Dotun. That's my official pick.
Listen, I want it to be Dotun. I really do, really bad. I think he's the number one choice. I think she picks Joey.
I love that. I love that. I see that story.
Probably right.
I think Dotun is the obvious number one choice here, and I think she would be silly not to choose him. But I think she's going to go with Joey.
Yep.
And I have to say, I really thoroughly enjoyed this episode.
Me too.
That's what I said. I feel like we're spoiler free. We got great guys. It really feels like it's about finding love.
Yeah.
Feels good. It's been it's one of my favorite seasons so far. I've loved this season, like all the way.
Pour one out for the good guys.
Cheers to finding love, huh?
Cheers to finding love. Cheers to Coors Light. Cheers for the good guys of this show.
Exactly. It hasn't been a good guys season besides like two guys, so that's pretty good. All right. I think that wraps it up for this episode of Cutting Stems. Thank you, ladies. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. And we will be back next week for Fantasy Suites. Maybe with Trent. Probably not.